Hello everyone, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me. So today we are going to talk about wasted opportunities. Now listen, if you know me, you know I love a theme. I love a themed collection, heavily themed collection. You could do a collection on dog poo, and if it's done really well, I will buy it and I'll collect the whole thing. So I want to talk about some brands that did some collaborations, you know, bought some licenses and completely wasted the opportunity. I got this idea from somebody who sent me a message on Instagram, and it was a certain like collaboration I'm going to talk about today, and they literally were like, wasted opportunity, and I was like, you are so right, there are so many times this happens. So that is exactly what we are going to do. But just before we get into that today, I just want to say a huge thank you to today's sponsor, and that is Function of Beauty. Now, you all know who Function of Beauty is, and let me tell you, this is not my first time using Function of Beauty. I absolutely adore their product, their shampoo, their conditioner. One thing about me is I always how do I say this without like revealing myself? I love makeup, I love beauty, but when it comes to myself, I am very lazy. And more recently, I really wanted to start to look after those parts of me that I don't tend to look after. My feet, my knees, my elbows, my hair. So when it came to hair, Function of Beauty have made this incredibly easy. It is literally having your own customized hair care routine with amazing high quality ingredients, including things like avocado oil, argan oil, agave extract, cactus extract, coconut extract. So as I said earlier, I'm focusing on ways to upgrade my skincare routine, my body care routine. So why not my hair instead of just using the same old shampoo or just any shampoo I can find? So it's super easy to customize these shampoos. All you do is go to the Function of Beauty website and take a short quiz all about your hair care concerns, your goals, what you kind of want to maintain, what you kind of do to your hair to truly get that customized product. So for my custom shampoo and conditioner, my goals were color protection, because I do sometimes color some grays, hydrate, replenish, shine, and straighten. Now for me, it was the straighten and the hydrate. My hair is extremely dry during summer. It doesn't look dry, but it feels dry and just feels kind of dull, and that's also why I wanted to add that shine. I also get quite a lot of like flyaway hairs, and my hair does have this very slight wave to it, which I quite like, but it's really hard to style. So what I really want to do is straighten the hair slightly just to make it easier to style, and then also get rid of some of those flyaway hairs and add a nice shine to it. And as you can see in the after here, my hair is a lot more smoother. When I put product in this, it's going to be a lot more almost flatter and straighter, which is how I like it. And it is so much more easier to manage when it comes to styling. My hair naturally falls into curtains because I had them for years in the 90s. So it makes it so much more easy to style. And talking about customization, one thing that's great about the shampoo and the conditioner is you can change it seasonally. I know my hair is going to change in winter, but I know that I can just go onto the Function of Beauty website and then customize my product to that season again. And the ultimate customization is choosing your own color and your own fragrance. I of course chose purple for my shampoo. And I wanted like a complementary color for the conditioner, so I chose like a bluey tone. It's not like a bluey tone, it is a bluey tone. But the fragrance for me, I love the smell of peach. So I chose a peach fragrance, and you can choose how intense you want it. I actually chose medium, and for me, that's actually not quite enough. So next time I will make it a bit stronger, because the fragrances are very light. They're not extremely overwhelming. And of course, you can choose no fragrance at all. It's your product to customize. So if you want to join me on this hair care journey, then you can go ahead and use the link down below in my description box for 20% off your first 16-ounce custom set. Thank you so much again to Function of Beauty for sponsoring this video. And like I said, everything is linked down below for you. Okay, let's get into this. Let's start with, I'm just going to do it because I spoke about it already, and it's pretty infamous. Some wasted concepts. Let's just talk about Mac and The Sims. I know I've touched on it already. I am a huge Sims fan. I love The Sims. Like, there's no better way to kill time than The Sims. Or reading a book. No, I don't read. I'm dyslexic. It's a chore. So here's the deal with the Sims thing. So, okay, when we think of The Sims, right, if you're familiar with The Sims, you think of crazy things happening. You think of that love bed from the original Sims. You think of a cow plant, aliens, death, that robot woman, the dancers coming out of a cake, what else? The genie, all these characters, all these places, all these situations, all these expansion packs. And you think of a color, you think of everything you can do. And this is what MAC did. They took this palette, which was already a pre-existing palette. I know because that was available when I worked with them. probably one of not so popular palettes, even though they were like, yeah, it's really popular, and then just put a sleeve on top of it. They changed the outer packaging. Didn't even put like a little Sims logo on the palette. Now, here's why this was extremely disappointing. Not just because it's shit, but because MAC's collections back in the day, their collaborations were wild. They were amazing. People used to queue up outside stores to get them. There were hardcore fans of MAC who would know the collections were going to come out months in advance before the staff did. Nadia, if you're watching, hi, you know that's you. And it's just, people knew everything, absolutely everything about these collections. Rightly so, they were incredible. The Hello Kitty collection, the Archie Comics one was one on the top of my head. The Mac Venomous Villains collection with Disney. So many incredible, heavily themed collections that just did so well. Even their collaborations with celebrities, not just like the Viva Glam lipsticks, but they did a collab with Beth Ditto ages ago, and there was this like dotted powder. There was so much effort put into it. And the collections, although now we're like, oh, money grabs, back then they were really the only brand doing these incredible themed collections. And Barbie, they did Barbie, and licenses were more than happy to let them go with it, you know? So to see this and think of the wasted opportunity you could have done with The Sims is so incredibly disappointing. But if you're going to repackage something, just repackage things. Change the name. You could have a red lipstick named after, you know, like Bella Goth, who's one of the continuous characters throughout The Sims, a really like deep red. They could have just repackaged Ruby Woo and renamed it. You know what I mean? It was a really wasted opportunity to have such a themed world and universe that is The Sims, and just packaging a grey-toned thing and being like, here you go. Like, when you look at that palette, you think boring, you think dusty. It's just neutral and it's just boring. You know, it's such a wasted opportunity. Do it again. Do it again. Let's try again. Anyone who's good, Glamlight. You're good at stuff. Let's do that. Okay, let's move on to the next disappointment. And this is something I find quite continuous with this brand. And let's talk about the Revolution and the Simpsons collection. Now, this is the actual palette. Let's start with this one that was sent to me in the message, and I was like, wasted concept. So the whole theme of this collection is like Summer of Love, which is kind of cute because in The Simpsons they go off and like do like time travel episodes. No, not time travel, but episodes where they like travel backwards and they look at Marge and Homer's relationship and when they met. I think it's like during the 70s. Really cute idea, really cute concept. But you know, let's stick to that. Let's take a look at this palette. I don't know what it's called. It's Lisa Simpson, basically. What about this palette is Simpsons like in any way? Now, here's my issue that I want to talk about going into looking at these palettes with Revolution. They will take any palette, any theme, they'll have like 4 or 5 bold block colors in a palette, and the rest are these brownie neutrals that you can get in any one of their other palettes. And I feel like if you're going to do a theme, maybe a Lisa palette could have been like, you know, one of those longer palettes, and you could have had the yellow, the orange, a white, and what is Lisa Simpson like? I don't know. A black, because she loves her cat, and the cat's black. I don't know. You know, something a little bit more precise and something a little bit more like what does any of this mean? Like, I just don't look at that palette and think The Simpsons. Now, this one's kind of okay. The Treehouse of Horror. One, because it's that Raven thing, but also, again, there's those browns, like maybe 1 or 2, but the tones of grey we could have got in this, the whites, you know, or something like that. If we're talking about like Edgar Allan Poe, The Raven, which was one of the stories in one of the episodes, then we could have, and the visual on the front of this palette, then we could have made it a little bit more interesting, you know, maybe a little bit more gothic-y, maybe a little bit more emo-y. Put a red in there, you know, but this is a little bit more like 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 neutrals, 2 blacks, 1 grey, and 1 white. And then we have this palette as well, which is more like an alien-y palette. On the front, this is from the episode when she becomes an alien, right? No, so they find out that an alien is actually Maggie's dad, and she starts to sprout all these legs. But the only kind of shades in here that I see as anything alien-y is the Space Alien, which is actually quite a boring green for Halloween, and then maybe Candle in the Wound, whatever that means. The rest of them, again, neutrals and these colours that you find consistently throughout Revolution's palettes. It's just boring. We could have gone for like a nice slime green in this palette, you know? Maybe think more of, if we're doing aliens, what comes to mind? Like that whole era where aliens were like Roswell kind of thing. Let's go like kitschy aliens, like a light blue, a red, a slime green, more alien-like. Again, with The Simpsons, so many situations within those episodes. You have that Mr. Sparkle episode when, you know, you could have done a whole palette with that. The things you could have done, you could have sectioned off The Simpsons world in so many different ways. And I know this was like a Halloween one, but again, could have done this better. Really could have done this better. Even in the Halloween episodes, there's so much more you could have done. If you look at the Simpsons collection altogether and took away any branding of the Simpsons, any licensing, you wouldn't think this was anything to do with them. So literally you're selling us a product just with the characters on, but no thought has gone into it. Really, let's be real. Okay, I think we're sticking with Revolution because I think this is one of their sub-brands, that Rock and Roll Beauty. This isn't so much a wasted opportunity rather than a stupid one. So dumb. So dumb. A Jimi Hendrix collection. Makeup collection. With candles, lip products, a guitar-shaped palette. And to be honest with you, that contour palette looks like some kind of like drop-shipped AliExpress crap. And they've done one recently with Def Leppard. Candles, a palette. It just doesn't make sense. It's really, really terrible. This seems almost like the owner was like, yeah, I love rock and roll. This almost seems like a passion project without much passion in it. Okay, now I want to talk about Disney collaborations. There are so many Disney collaborations, right? One brand that I really liked loads of brands actually. The MAC Venomous Villains was one of my absolute favorites. I bought all of that and then had to sell it because I was poor. And I had to sell it on eBay. Double what I bought it for. But that was great. I wish I still had it. Besame, all their Disney collections are incredible. Again, that's another collection where they went into the vaults and chose the colours from the actual cells and used it. And then Beauty Bay did a similar thing also with their palettes, which is their formula. And these palettes are just so beautiful. They are so, so incredible palettes, blushes, and it tells you like where the colour's from. I love that. I love that kind of like heavily themed. It's from the source. It makes sense. It makes some kind of sense. Now, take a look at these Disney Princess palettes from Essence, right? I just want to put them on the screen and I want you to guess who this palette is for. 5 seconds to guess what Disney princess is this palette for. 1, 2. It's Mulan. Why? So then we also have, believe that's Jasmine, which kind of makes more sense, but I would say more Ariel with a purple, you know? And then also there is Rapunzel, that you have these kind of, this makes a little bit more sense, these purple shades, because it's more everyday wearable with a little bit more purple. However, you could add some green tones, their clothing, their castles, their whatever. Get some more inspiration. It's when people just plonk a license on something and it just makes like there's no heart or detail in it. Essence, for example, this is a great one. They did this palette for Patch from 101 Dalmatians. And I mean, look at that Dalmatian thing. Like visually, it's quite a nice one. You need to be able to look at it and be like, yeah, that's like off the top of my head, be like, oh yeah, that's that company. Now, I would end this by talking about the Colourpop Sailor Moon collaboration, but I've talked about it so many times and we all know how terrible it was. Let's hope they come out with another one. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. Are there any collections that you think were a wasted opportunity that brands have kind of just come out with? It's like, yeah, it's this, and it really wasn't. Let me know below. Do consider subscribing, give this video a thumbs up. I want to say a huge thank you again to Functional Beauty for sponsoring this video. You can use the link down below for 20% off, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye.